Hey everyone, so before we continue to look at these by moving to the Lizardmen, I do want to clarify something I don't think I really got across in the previous one, which was that there is extra cinematics to introduce the campaign that are apart from the main ones, such as these, or rather, these three lords, I'm pretty sure share the same intro cinematic that you saw with Tyrion and Teclis. I might possibly be wrong about Imric here, but these two, pretty sure definitely share that one, that same one there. The one that stands out, I believe, is Eltharion here because I'm pretty sure he has to do with Grom over here, which I believe they share the same cinematic because the ones that were added via DLCs got their own cinematics, and I mean like notable DLCs. Like some of these other ones were just kind of like free editions or whatever, but some that were part of certain paid DLCs, like Eltharion and Grom over there, got extra cinematics. So I just want to point that out that I may not show the cinematic tied to Eltharion, but that's because I'm saving it for when we look at Grom. Okay? So if I skip over someone, it's because I'm going to be showing a cinematic with someone else. Like, for example, I'm not going to be showing the one that's tied to Wolfheart here because I'm going to be showing it with Nakai. Partly because I prefer playing as the Lizardmen instead of Wolfheart. But anyways. So, speaking of, the two main ones that came out here, of course, were Mazdamundi and Kroq-Gar. So, I really like playing as the Lizardmen. They may be my favorite race to play in this, apart from the Skaven. And I like both of these guys. I really do. I will say, though, I'm a little bit more inclined to play melee lords than spellcasters, only because at times, I'm not really that good with the micromanaging of I got a bunch of spells I can cast while these other things, do that. So, like, my micromanagement has never been that great. So, Mazdamundi is a really strong spellcaster, but, it's, only when he gets his mount, which is a big stegodon, does it feel like, okay, I can be able to actually not be too concerned about his well-being. Because the spellcasters can be very squishy, whereas these melee guys like Kroq-Gar, he can handle himself in a fight just fine. Plus, his mount is a giant carnosaur named Grimlock. No, seriously. It's named Grimlock. But anyways. The Lizardmen have the Geomantic Web, settlements that are linked by a network which boosts the power of commandments. Special spawnings. Periodic missions will allow access to powerful blessed variants of certain units, be suitable for every task, though some are so ferocious they may lose control and charge ahead. Which is not too bad, as long as they are attacking enemies. So even if I lose control, as long as they're, taking out enemies, that's fine. So I went back and forth between this. I'm going to just go ahead and stick with Kroq-Gar, because I've always really liked playing as Kroq-Gar. Plus, like I said, I love his mount. Mazdamundi has an awesome mount too, but, Kroq-Gar on a Carnosaur named Grimlock is just awesome. Plus, I actually like some of his benefits a bit more so than Mazdamundi's. You'll notice Mazdamundi has a negative effect where he has less diplomatic relations with most factions. That's because, based on what I've heard from other people in regards to the lore, he has a kind of a reputation as being a little, prejudiced towards other races. It's part of the lore of the Great Plan. I've actually heard some people say one of his nicknames is Frog Hitler, because, he doesn't, if they're not part of the Great Plan, races, then they're not really important or inferior or whatever. It's kind of a simplistic kind of nickname to kind of get the idea across. But yeah. Kroq-Gar, though, his effects and benefits here, less upkeep, especially for Soros and Cold One units, more armor, for dinosaurs, which is great for me because I love having an army of dinosaurs. It's really great. More leadership for them. Yeah, just good. Awesome. So let's see and find out more about the Lizardmen.
Since the days of creation, the reptiles have dominated the jungle continent of Lustria. The ignorant call the creatures Lizardmen. The wise know them as defenders of the world. In ages past, the Old Ones had a plan. But then the stellar gates collapsed, the Old Ones fled, and demons flooded the mortal plane. Led by the Slann, the Lizardmen fought the demons that surged across Lustria. Yet, it was the elves that created the Great Vortex. A swirling maelstrom that siphoned the world of chaos, withering demonkind. The world was saved, but the Vortex endures only because it is bolstered by the power of the Slann, via the Great Warding. If the warding should fail, the demons will return.
The forked tongue of Sotex hangs low in the sky. The Slann have felt it. Now I see it. Brighter, clearer. Its hiss disturbs the winds of magic. Yoked dark rags, the sacred plaques. One prophecy shines above all others. Vortex of the warm blood. But the full meaning cannot be deciphered. If our master will not wake, we journey to the city of the sun.
Lord Mazdamundi has sent the fearsome Kroq-Gar across the world pond to the Southlands. In this far-flung continent, the last defender of Xotul will establish a new power base to enact the next stage of the Great Plan, and hunt out the sacred plaques that shall power the ritual of prognostication. I think, did they change the voice acting for Mazdamundi there? Because if I recall, it used to not really sound like as if he was speaking basic. And yet there, you could clearly hear him talking that way. Revered master has sent me across the world pond. Wisdom of the old ones must be sought. Hunt among Southland's plaques of old ones lost must be found. They shall guide our path. The warm bloods squabble, trespass upon our hunting grounds. If they not yield, then our claws shall be their fate. Great plan of the old ones must proceed. Death on those who oppose it. So yeah, how Kroq-Gar spoke there is basically how I thought it used to sound for Mazdamundi there, but yeah. Pretty, pretty awesome stuff. So yeah. So this is the portion where Kroq-Gar starts. Up here is where Mazdamundi starts. By the way, this is also where one of the other main Skaven starts over here, just to give you an idea when it comes to the of them dealing with that. So this is our starting area here, the Temple of Skulls. Yes, really. So right off the bat, we gotta deal with some Skaven. Get back here! So now this gives me the opportunity to show you. I don't think any of the extra lore regarding Kroq-Gar has come up yet. However, as I was saying, Cold One, Horned One, Grimlock is Kroq-Gar's ageless carnosaur, upon which the great Lizardman Lord has won all his many victories. And there he is. So yeah. Getting on a mount like this is pretty nice, because for one thing, it helps make you be able to cause terror, because he's riding a giant carnosaur. Of course his enemies are going to get terrified at what they're seeing here. Ah. Time for some more lore. I'll do some more lore on Kroq-Gar in just a minute. Actually, hold on. Before we... let's go ahead and take a look at this real quick. Summon Grimlock, now we hunt. To the south of the world, in much warmer jungle climes, live the Lizardmen. These reptilian champions of order are not one race, but a collective of various cold-blooded creatures, all dedicated to bringing the great plan of the Old Ones, the stellar race that terraformed the world before the ancient enemy brought ruin to fruition. The Lizardmen are led by the Slan Mage Priests, who in turn are served by the adaptable Skinks, the laboring Kroq-Gar, and the fearsome warrior caste, the mighty Soros. It is the Soros that form the bulk of the Lizardmen armies, for they are spawned for that sole purpose, bringing war to those deigned as enemies by the Mage Priests. Just because the Soros have no concerns beyond battle does not mean they are limited in intellect. Far from it. In fact, for they excel in the role for which they are specifically spawned. None among their number is more capable or feared by the Warmbloods than Kroq-Gar, last defender of Zotl. Kroq-Gar is an ancient Scar leader and a legendary presence amongst the Lizardmen, for he has fought demons and countless enemies over untold millennia. Unquestioningly, Kroq-Gar was blessed by the Old Ones during his spawning, for he was among the last survivors of Zodal, a temple city that suffered constant demonic attack during the Great Cataclysm. And after the loss of his home, Temple City, he continued to fight. Masterless, he and his Soros warriors ranged far across the jungles, seeking out foes and interlopers, of which there are many. In recent centuries, Kroq-Gar has fallen under the sway of Lord Mazdamundi, the great second-generation mage priest, recognized in him an eternal warrior spirit, and gifted him the Hand of Gods, a relic of the Old Ones, strategically positioned for the coming wars. Mazdamundi has sent Kroq-Gar and his loyal cohorts across the World Pond to the Southlands. The last defender has been tasked with re-establishing the fallen geomantic web and bringing about the next stage of the Great Plan, the annihilation of the myriad enemies of order. The most powerful of their kind, Soros Leaders, are more than 8 feet of savage reptilian muscle. The highest rank given is the title Old Blood, while those beneath them are known as Scarf Veterans. They are perfectly designed killing machines, their martial prowess further enhanced by battle experience. To their foes, be they ancient nemesis or simply those who trespass upon the sovereign territory of their masters, the Soros Leaders are nothing less than the vengeance of the Old Ones made manifest. Some Soros Leaders are marked for greatness at their spawning, bearing a different pattern or crest to the rest of their brethren. Those few who emerge with pale or albino skin tones are always revered, for they are the favorite of the Old Ones, and destined to become mighty heroes of the Lizardmen. Yet a Soros need not be difficult from his comrades to gain veteran status. He need only survive. It is unknown for a Soros warrior to die of old age, and unless they are slain by violence or plagued by an unnatural disease, they continue to serve. Despite this longevity, few Soros live beyond a few hundred years. Given the constant dangers they face, the predatory flora and fauna of Lustria, and the high attrition demanded by battles beyond count, only the most fierce and resilient of their kind can endure. A few exceptional Soros have been alive for many thousands of years, overcoming threats and defeating enemies since the world itself was young. The longer Soros live, the tougher and more ferocious they become. The hardened scales that cover their bodies become thicker, and some plates ossify completely. Their scales become paler, a marking considered a blessing of the Old Ones. In addition to the further growth of lethal protrusions, the corded muscles of this ancient Soros become yet stronger until they are able to crush rocks with their bare hands. Another obvious sign of a Soros's age are the battle scars, burns, and tooth marks that crisscross their bodies. Soros Leaders are often attended to by scores of skinks, directed by their priests. The skinks will secure bronze armor plates upon an Old Blood or Scar veteran. Other venerations might include daubing war paint, adorning his scales with sacred oils, affixing sacred relics, or festooning his body with the shrunken heads of sacrificed foes, or other grisly tokens. Such actions not only bring the favor of the Old Ones, but also mark the status of a leader. Soros are neither dim-witted nor simple. Their minds are narrowly focused on battle, and battle alone. They instinctively know about military matters and have no concern for lesser issues. In Lizardmen society, the Slan Mage priests choose the overall strategy, and the Skinks direct its daily execution. In times of conflict, however, all defer to the Soros, and they in turn rely on the eldest of their long-lived kind, for the Old Bloods and the Scar veterans have honed their battle tactics over the ages. All Soros warriors are spawned with the knowledge of how to fight, and the longer each lives, the more battles he survives. The longer he survives, the more he understands the needs not just of a lone warrior, but also of an entire army. While a Scar veteran cannot explain the meaning of a refused flank, he will know how to launch such a maneuver. A Soros Old Blood could not express why he chose a defense in depth to defeat a foe, yet he will inexorably recognize when such situations are called for, and react accordingly. With only a low grumbling growl and a final bellow, an old blood or scar veteran can set an entire Lizardmen battle line in order. Once combat begins, the Soros Leaders eschew all matters of finesse, hurling themselves into the fray with merciless efficiency. Each stroke, bite, or thrust dispatches a foe, often with the enemy literally torn limb from limb by the ferocity of the attack. Right, so... That doesn't matter. There's just one other little bit I want to show off before we cut it here. Hope you guys are enjoying this little bit of extra lore reading. It's not just for you, it's also for me as well. That's funny. Trying to get the thing to pop up that I've seen pop up for Kroq-Gar before. Okay, well, never mind then. It's not popping up, so I don't know how to get to just pop up on its own, so... Oh, well. So, yeah, that's the Lizardmen, and, yeah. I mean, I'm not really able to show that much, but, like, you can see with, some of these, some of the units you can spawn and make later on with upgraded buildings is pretty amazing. Like you go to this one right here, the Beast Lair, Feral Dinosaur units, Stegodons. Some of these, the artillery units are dinosaurs with, like, certain kinds of things on their backs, like a solar engine or an Art of Sotek, Like, these are the artillery. An ancient Stegodon with the engine of the gods, a Feral Carnosaur. Just an army of these things is just amazing. It's an awesome thing to see. Dreadsaurians. These were added, I believe, in the Nakai patch. Ancient salamanders. I could be wrong, but yeah. This is one of the main reasons I love playing the Lizardmen. Having an army of these suckers right here. Pretty awesome stuff. So anyways. Yeah, definitely recommend playing the Lizardmen. It's a lot of fun. Before we move on to the next faction, speaking of Nakai, he gets his own special kind of cinematic. So I will be showing Nakai the Wanderer when we return. Stay tuned.